We have 15 minutes reserved towards the end of the session for Q&As, but feel free to make a note of all your queries, doubts, talking points in the chat box, and we shall pick it up towards the end. Or if otherwise inclined speakers feel it's something relevant, they might address it as and when you ask them. Right. On that note, over to the speakers.
Hey, thanks, Suraj. So today we will be presenting on the engineering next topic, which we presented last year in September. It will be an extended version of this topic in which we'll try to leverage GenAI for document hierarchies. And then we'll also see how we can contextualize content based on certain data from the BFSI industry. So myself, Ankit and Nirmal will be the three speakers for today. Just a quick intro about myself. I am Mayank and I am with Sapient for the last 7.5 years as a part of data COE, and I primarily work on Adobe Marketing Cloud in the personalization space. Ankit?
Yeah. Hey, hi everyone. My name is Ankit and I joined Sapient in 2021 as a campus hire and have completed 2 years recently. So I have worked across a variety of different tools and technologies, including but not limited to like GA and Azure and so on. Yeah. Nirmal?
Nirmal, you are on mute.
Yeah. Hey, hi everyone. This is Nirmal here, logging in from a foggy Delhi today. I've been in the industry for around 16 years and in terms of my experience, I have been in the retail industry, was an entrepreneur, and have been part of Sapient for close to 6 years now with data COE. That's a quick introduction of mine. Thank you.
So today,
Go ahead.
So today we will deep dive into the BFSI industry, what it is, and what are some of the regulations and compliance it faces. Then we'll look on to our idea and our proposed solution and how we can enrich that. Then we'll look at some prompt engineering and end-to-end scalable architecture for the same. And lastly, we'll have a separate session for any Q&A that you might have.
So we will start primarily with BFSI, industry challenges. So we all know that GenAI has exploded, right? And there are a lot of industries that are testing the waters in terms of, how they can leverage GenAI in the context of their particular vertical or industry, right? And solve specific problems. So before we delve into the idea, just wanted to kind of quickly close why GenAI makes a lot of sense for the BFSI industry, primarily because, in terms of regulations, this is one of the most regulated industries. There are new regulations that keep coming up, and you have regions like Europe, US, which particularly are very, very strict and stringent on the regulatory environment as well. Then, the industry trends, right? This is one of the most dynamic industries in that sense, because there are new concepts like carbon credits, ESG trading, peer-to-peer loans, everything, keeps coming up all the time. And that makes it very challenging for the industry leaders and for our clients to kind of keep up with all of that. And finally, you have, client-specific challenges in terms of their ability to strategize, execute, and repeat what they have actually understood and what they have been able to win in terms of scaling their solutions. So just to deep dive on, each of these environments, right? To the next slide. So regulatory industry trends and client challenges are the main ones, right? But what that leads to is also an explosion of digital content specifically for the BFSI industry. If we go to any standard website today of any of our clients, the minimum ballpark number that we see in terms of the number of documents that are there uploaded on their site would be anywhere between 200 to 300, and we are talking about a mid-sized clients. If we go to market leaders and all, that number would be close to 1,000 plus. And if we look at all markets and all countries where they are operating, it would actually explode even further. Now that is basically the premise on which Gen AI could help simplify a lot of the tasks and make sense of this very humongous operations that a BFSI industry client of ours has to actually continue, right? In terms of, and then the expectations of the users and the visitors, and also determines how they basically leverage Gen AI. So what are the basic expectations? The basic expectation is that if somebody is coming to the website and they come up with a problem, they are able to kind of do a decent site search. They should be able to kind of go ahead and have all the mandatory and regulatory documents that are there, right? For example, a document of inheritance, if they have any other documents related to filing of taxes. Those are very basic expectations that the current set of visitors would have. Then for an evolved set of expectations would be for there should be a lot of general consumption related information. That's so true for Gen Z as a segment, right? They would want a bank or a financial services player to be aware of what are their needs and what are the hot topics that are being discussed. And when they come to the site, they would want to kind of do a little bit of reading. Personalized document views is something that they would obviously expect, and also a little bit of reporting and feedback, especially in terms of the post login sections. Then they would, for a market leader, it gets even more difficult. People would expect that when you log in, there is personalized content. The number of documents could be range in thousands or 2,000s or 3,000s, but they would want to kind of go and find the most relevant document for them. And then they would also want to kind of go ahead and look at their favorite thought leaders, their own podcasts, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the expectation of what a visitor to one of our BFSI clients would actually want when they're going to the site. Next slide. So if this is the expectation, what happens at the back end? Correct. You have a very, very, you could say, process oriented steps that a BFSI industry has to follow in terms of their content strategy. It starts from obviously strategizing, but a lot of research goes into what topics do they research on, what kind of content they need to create, where is their what kind of FAQs are not being answered properly, and then you generate that content. Then that content has to be accurate, it has to be personalized, and last but not the least, it has to be discovered. Because one of the problems for a lot of our industry players is that you can actually go ahead and do a lot of hard work on creating those documents, creating those podcasts, creating those kind of content consumption assets. But if the user is not able to discover it on your app or website, then it all goes for a waste. And to take that at the back end, what then happens is to kind of have a business process management in place, so that any content that is generated goes through proper approval process, because there might be penalties from a regulatory perspective for false data or data that is inaccurate. There needs to be insights and reporting, because the amount of money and dollars that is spent on content strategy to content development is quite huge for BFSI clients. So they would want to kind of go ahead and understand via insights, via analysis, that the kind of documents they have uploaded, has it given them a ROI or not. And finally, they would want to automate the processes. Next slide. Okay. So we'll take a step back in terms of if these are the different life cycles of the content life cycle, right? Then what are the current existing solutions which were used pre Gen AI? Correct. For content research, a lot of web scraping used to happen, and social media analytics was one of the ways to do that. If you want to kind of go ahead and have content accuracy, you automate some of the tasks, but you also have anomaly detection techniques, where also some text analytics engines were used. right? Discoverability, again, you were trying to kind of promote certain podcasts on the social media, but also, look at clickstream data to understand, whether the documents you have uploaded are being discovered and consumed by your visitors or not. There is qualitative research for insights and reporting. There is also a lot of digital feedback is there. You would have often seen how, rate as your experience on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Did you solve the problem that, you came to solve on the website? You have all these, automated feedbacks that come into the fore that could also be helpful, right? And obviously for automation, a lot of custom Python-led, development was there to ensure that you're able to automate that. So in a nutshell, web scraping, social media analytics, anomaly detection, custom-driven tools, this is what the world was before GenAI actually came into play. Next slide, Ankit. Right. So this is a view of then where does GenAI sit and how does it interact, right? On one side of the things, you have the use cases, right? And the content life cycle is there. And then comes, determining the GenAI use cases. Once you have the GenAI use cases, you look at the capabilities and specific capabilities that you want to explore, because GenAI as a service would also explode in terms of the different modules that it would be able to do, correct? So there is an application layer to that, and finally you integrate with what is existing in your backend systems. It could be CMS, it could be your enterprise BI, it could be flat files, it could be site search platforms. Next slide, Ankit. Yeah. So then here is, if that is what GenAI could, so we'll probably go a little bit deeper in terms of then how can GenAI help and what are the different use cases. So this has come after doing a lot of test and learn at our end. What we basically did was that we took some dummy files and tested this to see how much GenAI is able to kind of interpret these documents. And we were positively surprised by what we actually saw. The first thing is that there are two ways of actually leveraging the GenAI. Either you use the document taxonomy itself, which is, for example, we could say ESG Industry Insights 2022 Q4, and the name of whoever has actually has a point of view, right? So that could be a document name. So either you could actually use a document name or you could use the document details itself that lie within the document. One of the surprising factors that came to us is that GenAI was able to interpret a lot of things by solely the document name itself, which our colleagues Mayank and Ankit would deep dive. So what does that lead to? Basically, you are able to categorize documents based on the document taxonomy itself. And imagine for a large player who is uploading, has about 1,000, 1,200 documents on their website, or even 300 or 400, right? We want to kind of understand how would GenAI interpret and categorize those documents. That is one. You could always do it internally via manual inputs, but that is not just cumbersome, it is also not as creative. So GenAI can help you categorize the documents. That's the first thing that we were able to put across. The second thing is that, in terms of the metadata, generally in BFSI industry, you would see that there is, the date, month, quarter is there. There are, documents which are preceding a particular document. So say, for example, you have a POV, which is for this year, you are following up that with another POV for the next year. One of the things that GenAI actually did, and pretty decently successful on it, is being able to understand which was the anchor document. And if this is the anchor document, then what could be the next set of documents that a user might want to kind of go ahead and use. So that is the concept that we were also able to test with very good results. Finally, the utility. In terms of the utility, again, one of the core problems is that when you're creating the document, the purpose is in the mind of the strategist who has done the content strategy. And if you remember our content lifecycle, the strategy came in right at the start. By the time a document is actually exercised and it is validated and verified and it actually gets uploaded, some of the context on the original reason why you wanted to create the document itself could be lost. And what we basically were able to do via GenAI is to be able to kind of interpret what is the purpose behind the document. Why is that document useful to you as a visitor? And that is something that we were able to do. We also found challenges where there was a little bit of hallucination on the side of the PS chat and chat GPT, but those were still something that could be kind of managed. Finally, GenAI, in addition to doing all of this, it was able to kind of go ahead and generate keywords. This is something that, there are other tools in the market that do it, but the benefit of having GenAI is that it's able to kind of go and do all of this via the single application. And from a prompt engineering perspective, what that basically means is that if you are able to create a single prompt with many queries, and you are able to kind of get all of this thing done with a single click of the button, and that is where keyword generation also kind of helps, and it is within the purview of GenAI. Finally, you can obviously generate additional content on top of that, right? Like content snippets per document. It could interpret and create a summary of what the document is, and so on and so forth. And it could also help in automating and detecting anomalies. For example, if you have 4 documents for the quarter, right? Q1, Q3, Q4, and Q2, and you have missed Q2. Q2 upload has been missed. And GenAI could also kind of go ahead and say that out of this is the anchor document, and in that anchor document we have Q1 and Q2, but Q3 got missed, and we then have Q4 directly. So you could actually go and rectify those kind of anomalies in the site. So overall, this is the application snapshot and some of the use case we tested. Over to Mayank and Ankit for the deep dive.
Thank you, Nirmal. So I understand that could have been too much of info, but I'll just give you a quick demo to understand, and so that you can put all of that into place and understand like what we were actually talking about. So today, like, we'll just focus on a client, on a fictional financial services client, which is Finovo. Okay, and for any financial services client or any AMC, if you go to their website, they will have a lot of documents on their website, which might range across regulatory filings, like is there any change in leadership, or any fund specific document like a stock fund or a flexi cap fund, documents on that, and sometimes even thought leadership papers. So we actually took out all these document names related to all these documents, and then we applied GenAI on that particular data. So here we took that particular data, we generated a raw data from a CMS system, which was AEM, and the raw AEM file had some predefined columns along with the document name, which I'll show you in a couple of seconds. Then what we did is we took all those document names which were there in the AEM file, and we passed it to PS chat to generate all the metadata for us, which we had in our prompt. And what we also additionally told PS chat is to give the output to us in a JSON format, so that we can easily use the JSON format for any further processing. And it is like easy to use format to do any manipulation, etc. Now what we did is, like, once the results were out, we in the initial prompt we had asked PS chat to classify the documents into themes. Like for a stock fund, what is the theme of the document, or for a fact sheet, what is the theme of that document. And then once we had the themes for those documents or the subcategories, we again gave that output again back to PS chat, hence forming a chain to generate super themes. So again, we are asking PS chat to generate themes for those particular documents, and again we are giving those themes back to it to generate super categories or super themes. And last not the least, we joined all that data back to the CMS file, and we had a enriched CMS file which can be used further. So quickly I'll just show you how it will look like before processing and after processing. Okay, so this was the CMS file. Like you see, you have the document names here. It has around 700 or more document names, and it has certain attributes to it, like what is the type, what is the size of the file, when it was added, modified, published status, and some data around which country does it belongs to or which segment does it belongs to. Now, what we did is we took all these document names and we gave it to PS Chat. And after configuring the API, we told PS, so this is just a sample data. I'll just show you the final results. After configuring, passing the document names, we just told PS Chat that, okay, I'm passing you this document name. Can you extract these attributes for me? So which is basically a anchor document name, a date in a specified format, which is DDMMYY, the quarter, if any, found in the document name, month, year, and then we moved on to generating the SEO keywords like Nirmal was talking about. Like what are the SEO keywords that can be used for this particular document, and what is the target audience that can be used for this particular document. What is the purpose of this document? And then, like I said, like we were trying to do some chaining. First, we asked PS Chat that generate the theme from this document name, and then what is the type of the document and what is the type of the fund, if any. Now, once we pass all the document names through this initial prompt, so the old file where we had these document name will start looking something like this. Okay. So these are the document names which were there in the CMS platform before. And these were the anchor document names that we got from the LLM or PS Chat model. And then it was successfully able to extract the date from that particular document, the quarter, the month, and the year also. Now, if you notice closely, the quarter is not given anywhere in the name, like it is just March 31st or June 30th or December 31st. But PS Chat or any LLM model is able to look at that document name and interpret that what quarter will it belong to. And then it is also able to extract the month, the year, and then what keywords can be used for that, could be used for that particular document. And then what could be the target audience for that particular document. So earlier, like we had only 3 variables for the target audience, which was individual, financial, and institutional. But after passing the document names, we were able to get more insights into the specific audience name. So for example, it can be investors, financial advisors, or investment researchers, and there are many other useful target audience and interesting results which we found, which Ankit will show you shortly. And after that, purpose for each of the document and the sub themes. So this was the first iteration in which the LLM model generates the sub themes, and once these are generated, we pass this again to the LLM model to generate super themes for us as well. And then what is the document type? What is, if it is a fund, then what is the fund type? And last but not the least, what is the definition of that particular document? So if a layman looks at that sheet and he or she does not know what is a class I fact sheet or what is a class X fact sheet, they can always go to this column and see like what is that particular document name. So if we look at it here, that here it is for this particular board election and additional board members document name, it is able to generate the definition that it is a corporate governance document and it is meant for people who are existing shareholders, potential investors, financial professionals, and it is designed to announce annual board elections and so on. You can get in one iteration only, you can get all this metadata for that particular document name only. And later on, you can go ahead and join all that metadata in your older CMS file to make it more enriched and full of information without any bias. So I'll just we'll just move on to a generic overview of how this all can help, and we'll just share with you all the interesting results that we saw after pushing all those document names through the LLM model. So here, like what we did with a combination of programming and Gen AI was we were able to you can establish a connection with the CMS source and you can automate whole of this process of generating this metadata. Then you can, like I said, you can extract metadata, you can extract theme and date, you can sort the documents, you can group the documents, everything you can do in one go. And then after that, you can also do some additional web scraping to find competitor websites and competitor documents and find similar documents to those themes and those purposes. And last but not the least, like after iterating through those document names, we realized that at some point of time, human intervention also might be required to see if the documents are following some proper taxonomy or not, or to see for once if there are any errors or not. And as Nirmal was telling before, to also to perform anomaly detection for any missing document names across any time. Further, Ankit will explain you about the results which we saw from the sheet I just showed you. Over to you, Ankit.
Okay. So thanks, Mayank, for the detailed demo and helping us understand that how the solution works. So like we just saw in the final output, we were able to generate a variety of different tags, some of which you can also see on your screen, like document type, purpose, target audience, and font type. So we can use these tags in various applications and for different purposes, like building website content filters for digital content. We can also use it for SEO and even for building recommendation engines. Next slide, please. So now that we have seen the solution in action and have an idea about the impact that it can create, let's try to quantify this impact. So if we talk about the count of metadata fields, we were able to almost double or triple up the number as GenAI helped us to generate around 9 to 10 additional metadata attributes like document theme, sub-theme, purpose, and target audience, etc. Similarly, we can see that initially we had only around 3 wider user groups or personas in the document list that we got from the CMS. But with the help of GenAI, we were able to increase the count to around 15 to 20 different and more specific user groups, like financial advisors, pension holder, and so on. Also, one more thing which is really interesting to note here is that GenAI was also able to understand and identify some of the unique and outlier cases like economic students and business schools. So this can be a great value add while working on the marketing and personalization strategies and campaigns. Next slide, please. Yeah. So similarly, if I talk about the document purpose, it can be a really challenging and tedious task to manually update and categorize all the documents on the basis of document purpose in a CMS system. But with GenAI, we can make this process much more efficient and less time consuming, as GenAI helps us to infer much more meaningful and accurate information directly out of the document name. So here's a word cloud of the different document purposes that we were able to generate and categorize the documents into. So some of them are fund text, information, quarterly fund updates, and market trend insights. Next slide, please. Okay, so now let's get into a bit more detail and have a look at how a GenAI POV will work and how it is different from a typical solution that we would have had in a pre-GenAI era. So the solution design or the architecture can be broken down into 3 major phases, that is extract, transform, and load. So during the extract phase, we will be...
My motorcycle, there is a lot of celebration, balloons, cakes, but the same doesn't happen.
Yeah, sorry, there was some disturbance. Yeah, so I was saying that during the extract phase, we will be extracting the list of documents from a CMS system like AEM or Adobe Experience Manager. So this will be an CSV or your Excel data extract, and all the data extraction logic, including the CMS API call, will be encapsulated in a data ingestion script, which will be a simple Python script hosted on a Lambda instance. So this CSV file will be then persisted into a cloud storage instance like S3 bucket for further processing. So now that we have the raw data set or the list of documents with us, let us talk about the transformation and the value add phase. So this is where GenAI comes into the picture. So for the ease of understanding, let's divide this phase into two sections, one without or prior to the GenAI, the red block, and the other one where we will be leveraging the GenAI capabilities, the green block. So let us first understand that how a traditional solution without GenAI would have worked and what are the challenges associated with it. So if we want to develop a traditional document management system with some basic functionalities like metadata extraction, keyword and site search tag generation, and competitor analysis, we would need to write complex Python scripts and develop intricate pipelines, as each of these functionalities or applications that I just mentioned are, or we can say that is a complex process in itself and have a complex solution design, which is difficult to build and maintain. Now, this is where GenAI comes into the picture to help us avoid all these complexities and simplify the overall solution architecture by acting as a one-stop solution. So GenAI enables us to simplify the entire solution by replacing all the complex pipelines with a set or chain of API calls. Now, how that works is that we have a data transformation script which performs the basic data validation and prepares the data as an input for the GPT model. The GPT script then makes a PStat API call and passes the document name as a part of the predefined prompt template. The GPT model output, which is a JSON format, is then validated and pre-processed for further processing and next set of prompts. So all these model API calls occur in a cyclic fashion till the time all the metadata has been generated. Now, once we have the final output ready, we can then load it into an analytical data store like the data lake or a data warehouse. And we can also feed it back into our CMS system, from where we can leverage the data for various downstream applications. So some of the examples are like we can connect it as a data source along with the data from analytics systems like Adobe and Google and build content research reports in BI tools like Power BI. We can also ingest the data from Redshift into a DSP like Google Ads, where we can then utilize it for audience-based targeting and ad copy generation. Last but not the least, we can get the site search tags and keywords data flowing into a website search engine offering like Algolia. Next slide, please. Yeah. So talking about the operational model and business continuity, so how frequently we run this solution might vary from one industry to another or from one vertical to another, as we have multiple verticals under the BFSI domain. It also depends on how often a company refreshes its digital content library, and based on that, we can decide to run the solution on a fortnightly or on a monthly cadence. Other two important aspects that we should keep in mind while operationalizing the solution are document archival strategy and content conflict resolution plan, as there's always an element of randomness associated with the GenAI output. Now, in terms of future outlook, GenAI is still in the initial stage, and though it is rapidly advancing, we still have some limitations, and one of them is the limitation in terms of data reasons. But we can actually fill this gap by combining the intelligent interpretation from GenAI with the existing techniques like web scraping and enable other use cases like competitor analysis and benchmarking, where having the latest data is one of the must-haves. Apart from that, we can also use the GenAI along with the various metadata fields and contextual information to generate new content. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah. So, just to summarize the key learnings from this POV and this session, so we were successfully able to leverage the GenAI capabilities to generate new metadata for the AMC documents and then basically use this metadata to contextualize new content in the form of document description snippets. As a part of next steps, we will be working towards ensuring output consistency and enhancing the overall solution accuracy. The potential of this POV and GenAI in general is immense, and the solution can be further extended to other verticals under the BFSI umbrella, like banking and insurance, and in fact, even to other domains like e commerce and retail. So, in case you would like to discuss more on this topic and have any other ideas, so feel free to reach out to us. And yeah, that's all from my end for this session. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and thanks Ankit. Now, if you all have any questions around the idea or around the implementation, around anything that we presented, feel free to ask, and we'll be happy to answer it.